7 p.m.
Now it's time for KFM Hotseat. Catch the fire tonight on KFM's Hotseat. Every weekday, 7 to 8 p.m. It's hot, it's live, provocative, and digs deep into the issues. It's KFM's Hotseat. The hottest debate on all relevant topics, live on KFM's Hotseat tonight. KFM's Hotseat. Every weekday, 7 to 8 p.m. KFM's Hotseat. Only on 933 KFM.
Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Hot Seat this Friday, the 5th day of April 2024. And with me in the studio is a panel of two experienced journalists and pundits to discuss the major events of the week. From Parliament, its own spokesperson, my great-grandson from Alur in Congo, by the way, he's not even Ugandan, Joseph Sabiti. And on my right-hand side, my most favorite panelist on matters of culture, representing the conservatives of the country, the behemoth of this country.
Are you saying Sabit does not have culture in him?
You are the
what you're saying?
of cultural bigotry. We have Frank Mujimba, and I'm so happy, Frank, that you are here because we are going to discuss the judgment of the Constitutional Court that was delivered on Wednesday against your great-grandfather here. First of all, I'm a very angry, bitter, disappointed Ugandan. Of those three, of the five Constitutional Court judges, I know Richard Butera, I know Gasharabaki, I know Godfrey Kiriabwiri. And for specifically the Deputy Chief Justice Richard Butera, I hold him in extremely high esteem as a very calm, reflective, enlightened intellectual.
That is blackmailing, but proceed.
And then Gash as an amazingly super duper smart character. Kiriabwiri as a soft-spoken, insightful guy. And of course, I should tell you, by the way, Kibedi Mzamiru was our lawyer in the last petition. He represented us. So really, I thought
times have changed. He's now on the bench.
And then, of course, Monica Mugenyi and I come from the same village. Actually, she's the sister of Timothy Kariegera. We come from the same village. She has a strong middle-class background. Her father was one of those prestigious, high-class, dedicated civil servants of Uganda of the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. So this was a panel, I thought, of judges, the best panel Uganda could field, whereby you have highly enlightened, intelligent, intellectually astute jurists who would read widely. We submitted 100,000 pages of a case. Read widely, think deeply, broaden their perspective, and then deliver a judgment that would have made this country proud. A judgment where our courts would stand above cultural bigotry, traditional prejudice, ignorance, short-sightedness, and defend right even when the whole world says that right is wrong. You see, I went to court with such hope. I was devastated. And I'm going to do a monologue so that you can reply to it. I was devastated by four things that the five judges, their judgment was read by Butera, they said. And I'm going to summarize them for you. One, they said that there is a widespread sentiment in Uganda against homosexuality. People believe this is an affront to their traditions and culture. And the Constitution of Uganda states that the aim of the Constitution and the courts should be to preserve our culture and traditions. So that was one of the bases. I asked myself, in this country called Uganda, there were strongly held cultural beliefs of patriarchy, that women should always be in the kitchen, they should not be leaders. There are strongly held beliefs against particular tribes in Uganda. They are strongly held beliefs. If I went on television, I don't believe in God, and I said the Christian God, when I read the Bible, sounds to me, especially the Old Testament, a demented, psychopathic megalomaniac, it would be an affront to so many Ugandans. I'm sure 90% of Christians in Uganda would vote that is an affront to their culture. Should I have the right to express myself that way about God, whom they so treasure? So I felt that was the whole thing of the court, that public sentiment cannot be a foundation, a basis for abrogating rights of a particular minority. In fact, the whole essence of our constitution is to say that we have rights in our constitution because we believe that majority should not use the weight of numbers to repress or deny minorities their rights. So that was point one. I felt the argument of a widespread sentiment was very, very weak and unconstitutional. So, just Butera, Gash, and Kriawira, and Monica, and I have ruled you out there. One. Point number two. And my grandson, you are ruled out there. You are unconstitutional. The second point, they said, that this law was passed because there is when they were defending the issue of promotion of homosexuality. It was passed because there is widespread recruitment of young people.
And it is true.
Yeah, okay, yes. I'm not denying it, but I'm going to ask questions.
Okay.
Across the country, Uganda schools, this country, I must state to everybody, has very competent security institutions. We have the Uganda Police, we have the CMI, we have ISO, we have ESO, we have crime intelligence, we have SFC, we have UPDF, we have local councils, we have student councils in schools. I challenge anybody. How can it be that for 17 years, this country and its leaders have been saying that there is this scourge of massive recruitment of kids into homosexuality in schools? Not one person has been apprehended. Not one victim has been brought to the media. My grandson yesterday, when I asked him here, Frank Majimba, 17 years later, he told me of one story of one guy on YouTube, one guy he doesn't know, whose credibility he cannot defend. One human being, after 17 years of massive recruitment. Really? Are we so blind? Three to challenge the Constitutional Court. So I could not believe that highly respected judges, well-educated, widely traveled, articulate, intelligent, deep thinkers could reduce themselves to rumors on the street that even the Attorney General of Uganda did not present any iota of evidence that there is recruitment. They were ruling using evidence that was not even presented before court. I'm judging, brother. I have never seen that. Three. They said that one of the reasons this law was passed is to protect our children. Listen to this. To protect our children against homosexuals who are molesting little kids and defiling them. Well, there is a law against defilement. No. We needed to reinforce the law because this problem is very big. Okay. Let me give the statistics from the Honorable Uganda Police Force 2022 Uganda Police Crime Report. There were 13,000 cases of defilement. Out of those, 12,700, i.e. 97.7%, were men, heterosexual men, defiling little girls of 3 months and 3 years. 97.7%. The scourge in this country is not by homosexuals. It is clearly by heterosexuals. The cases where young kids had been molested by homosexuals were 300. 300 out of 13,000 is exactly 2.3%. How can the Parliament of Uganda, elected by the people of Uganda to represent their interest, be blind to the scourge of heterosexual men molesting little girls at 97.7% and they only reinforce it for 2.3%? If that is not madness, I don't know what it is. And the court and the Constitutional Court of Uganda defended that, what do we call it, travesty of reality. They defended it. That it is the 2.3% where they need the law to be reinforced. You know why? Because our heteronormative values, you know what I mean by our belief that all sex is heterosexual, should be heterosexual, allows us to tolerate this abuse of little girls. So we cannot reinforce the law on the girls. We allow them to be abused. We only reinforce it on, okay? Number four. And this is where I almost left my chair and went underneath it because I was so embarrassed on behalf of the 5 judges. Honorable judges, you know how much I love and respect the 5 of you. All the 5 have. But this point, Butera mentioned it, and he was reading a judgment, so they all agreed to it, that the people who indulge in homosexuality, especially anal penetration, they said, cause health problems. Let me use basic logic. If you are a judge and you thought, and I'm going to tell you why they judged the way they did. They never read the Constitution. They didn't care. They just used it. I will explain how we got to this. Are they saying, therefore, if they say the problem is that there's anal penetration, do lesbians indulge in anal penetration? I would like to know women who are homosexuals. So if that is the basis, would the women therefore be exempted? Point 1. Judges, listen to this. Would you exempt them? Because you see, they're shifting to go into there's a local priest here, I think, who has a very low IQ, who makes this kind of stupid noise. Are the lesbians therefore exempted if the problem is anal penetration too? Assuming 2 gay men said, for us, we indulge in oral sex or mutual masturbation, we will not do anal penetration. Does that allow them, does homosexuality become acceptable? 3. Assuming there are heterosexual couples who have anal penetration, whether the woman finds sexual gratification through penetration of anal penetration, or the man, a heterosexual man, which is a very common thing, is that sex also going to be prohibited? 4. There are many people who gain sexual gratification through infliction of physical harm. They are called sadomasochists. Is the government of Uganda going to regulate how people have sex in their bedrooms because somebody gets harmed? You see, I felt that the judges did not even take time to think. Why? Now I come to the conclusion. Because they were so filled with prejudice and bigotry. They were incapable of walking out of their cultural, traditional bigotry and prejudice and assess this case as judges who stand above these kinds of prejudices and bigotry. And therefore, they could not see the much more nuanced elements of what they're trying to say. Because you see, we can agree to a principle. If you say you don't want men to sleep with men, you can live there. But you cannot go into the details of how they have sex, because how people have sex, whether heterosexual or homosexual, can be so varied. People have so many sexual fantasies and sexual fetishes that they indulge in. I don't want to go into it. Anyone can go and buy any book in a bookstore from psychotherapists, from psychoanalysts, from psychiatrists, from psychologists, about so many stories of so much how people have sex. It is so rich and wide a thing that to try to reduce whether anal sex or ear sex or nose sex or masturbation, you're going into so many details that the judges cannot go there. Then would not have. Then the churches and the government would have to regulate every person in a bed with cameras in every room. Anyway, 12 minutes I have taken in this whatever. I'm going to take another break. When I come back, I will surrender the floor to my grandchildren here. But I just wanted to make those 4 points. I want to tell my friends, the judges, Honorable Right Honorable Richard Butera, Godfrey Kiriawire, Christopher Gasharawaki, Monica Kaliegera Mugenyi, and of course Muzamiru Kibedi. I was so disappointed. Even though I was disappointed, I should tell you, I retain my very high respect for your intellect, for your depth of thought, for your wide reading and thought. But I felt this time you were captives and victims of your own traditional and religious bigotry and prejudices, and I don't blame you, because my own sister Margaret, one of the most widely read and widely traveled human beings, she holds views like yours. You refer to the Constitution, you just refer to your own cultural prejudices. We'll be right back.
The hottest debate on all relevant topics, live on KFM's Hot Seat tonight.
33933 KFM.
KFM's Hot Seat. Hot Seat. Hear the real story behind the story. Coming right at you. Only on 933 KFM.
Welcome back to this edition of the Hot Seat, featuring a panel of me and me alone. But I have two shouting boards on which I can bounce off my ideas. So I'm going to, let me first introduce Joseph. I have given my long tirade or monologue on the judgment. There are many things I could have, I will raise them later. But you disagree with me. You are one of the vanguards in promotion of hanging the homosexuals.
No, Andrew, I disagree with you on fundamentally on the question of homosexuality. If it was a question of what you and I believe and what we do inside our homes or in our bedrooms, I don't think it would be subject to debate on radio. But these cultures move from your bedroom to the street, to the public places, to the hangout places, to the characters, to the morals, to the conduct of a nation. Therefore, that's what the concept of legislation is about. You see, Andrew, you're guilty of making me become a journalist, and that's a fact. Without
so you have sentenced me without hearing.
Yes. There's no need for hearing. Without Andrew Mwenda, I would not have gone to journalism school. I admired his reasoning. I admired his stance on very many things. The concept of democracy is that the will of the majority will prevail, the sentiments of the minority respected, but the will of the majority stands supreme. You need to just walk out of here and go to any corner of this country and ask what people feel about homosexuality. And then, if you want to debate it in the legislative context, go to Article 1 of our Constitution. Say all powers, judicial, legislative, and executive, are exercised on behalf of the people. The people of this great country, Andrew, fundamentally disagree with you on the question of homosexuality. The judges exercise the judicial powers on behalf of the people. The MPs, if you go and introduce any subject matter, I don't think my senior in the profession, on the Honorable Margaret Mohanga, is mad to vote in favor of that law. She is a representative of the people of Burasha. Right? If she went and held a microphone and asked, what do you feel about this? You put Andrew and put Margaret here. They will first of all pick sticks and cane Andrew and take him home. Okay? They will cane Andrew properly and take him home and then come and line behind Margaret. So the questions of the aspirations of the people and the question of culture, the question of homosexuality is a very emotive conversation. It's a conversation had in the context of emotions. And the emotions are not on one side. The people who support homosexuality are even more emotional than the ones opposed to it. When you listen to them speak, they speak like the world starts and ends with them.
I've listened to Pastor Martin Semper.
There's no difference between you and Martin Semper. You're two extremes on either sides. If anyone listened to you speak passionately a few minutes ago, and then they brought Martin Semper here, and actually, if I offered to host a show here between the two of you, that show would not happen. That's the problem. So for me, I agree with the concept of democracy that the aspirations and desires of the people. I actually find sense in the fact that fundamental rights like the right to health, Andrew, the right to these people to receive treatment in hospital was upheld by the Constitutional Court. So for me, I think that Justice Butera and team deserve a pat on the back. They did this country proud, and to know that this is a very popular. This must be, people think the courts have issues, the courts have corruption, but if you subjected this particular judgment to a referendum, this might be the most popular court decision in the history of this country, to the point that even the people who tell us that they are the redeemers of the day, the ones who have condemned the status quo and are offering liberation, cannot openly stand and say we support gay rights. You bring David Louis Rubongoya here, bring Bobby Wine here, and ask him what their stand is on homosexuality. Today, one of the officials at EU posted, referring to Chagulanyi as Uganda's leading LGBT rights defender. The post on X went down in less than an hour. It was pulled down.
Really?
Yes, it was pulled down. And they're now trading the narrative that it is fake. No, for me, I screenshotted it. I sent the link to myself. I later went back and tried to open that link. It had been deleted. So that's how sensitive this issue is. Don't blame the MPs. They are not mad. They are not crazy.
Okay, let's come to Frank Mujimba. Frank, you have a supporter here.
Andrew, first of all, I think I am proud to be part of the country that does not support homosexuality, and I'm really glad about yesterday's ruling. But yesterday's judgment. Sorry. Wednesday, yeah. But I would like to first make these two statements. Yes, the law was passed, but for me, the law, because it has been there anyway, like you are saying, for about 17 years, and nobody has been comprehended. So I think, yes, the law is there, but there is a lot that needs to be done. And They are two, because everybody, these people you've been talking about, everybody can be compromised. But they are two, maybe two, should I call them people? One are the parents. Parents, I think I really have a challenge with this thing of women emancipation and everybody hunting for money, and they have
How have we gone to women emancipation?
Just a minute, I'm coming to that. And they have left out the responsibility of taking care of their children, and you find that all children have been taken to boarding schools, and they have been left to these teachers for them to groom them. So I find that a challenge. So it is number one, the number one role of a parent to make sure that their children grow up in values, and they should be grounded in culture, so that even if such things come across them, they can never be taken up in such an easy manner. Secondly, the law was passed by Parliament, but I think there is something they did not do. Yes, the law is there. You're now trying to prevent, but there are people who have already suffered from this vice. There are people who are already suffering, who are living in denial. Some of them are already infected. They're almost at the verge of committing suicide. So I think the Parliament of Uganda, it is really important that they come out and...
Who are these people who are infected with what?
Just a minute.
I want our listeners to know, you say these are already infected?
Yes.
And they are infected with what?
I'm going to come to that, Andrew, later on. I'll tell you what they are infected of or with. So the Parliament should, I think the Parliament or the government of Uganda should put up, should I call it a rehabilitation center or something that can help to bring together these people who have been affected already. There are people who would want to come out of this vice, but because they do not have anywhere to run to, they are really scared. They are suffering in isolation out there. So the government of Uganda, or the Parliament of Uganda, yes, just wait. I'm going to come to that. So the Parliament of Uganda or the government should put up a rehabilitation center or something like that, so that even someone who has been lured into this vice and they would want to come out of it, they have where to run to. But when you make a law, yes, it could prevent people from joining, but there are people who are already there, and some of these people are promoting vices in schools or even at homes. So I wanted to first make those two statements.
But really, it's very important for you, Frank,
yes,
to explain to your listeners,
yes,
to be nice to them, say, you're saying that people have been lured into this vice.
Yes.
Do you have people who have been lured into this vice? Can you tell us their story? Who lured them there that now they need rehabilitation?
Now, Andrew,
they reported to you?
This is how...
because we have psychiatric hospitals in Uganda, private and public. We have Butamika. They can go there for rehabilitation.
But of course they need... I believe they need support.
So do you know these people?
Just a minute. Let me first tell you.
No, but you see,
because
let me be frank. In the process of legislation in Parliament, some of these individuals actually came forward. If you talk to the Honorable Sarah Opendi, if you talk to your sister Margaret, if you talk to MPs, people were actually coming up. Now, the concept of homosexuality is not something acceptable in our traditional societies. So for even someone to come and say that Andrew Mwenda removed his machine gun and worked on me, it's very difficult. It's considered a very shameful conduct.
Yes.
So even the manner in which, if I knew, for example, for me, I've interacted with people who say they have been subjected to those. I have met children who have been abused, but I'm not even at liberty to reveal their names on air,
so,
because I would be causing a... Yes.
Joseph and Frank,
yes,
really you are serious guys.
Yes.
I want us to come to facts, because in this country there is a law against defilement, I have said. So if a child was homosexually molested, they constitute 2.3% of the crime of this problem. They should be apprehended under our laws. We have laws there. So please hold a second. I don't want you to mix defilement and rape with homosexuality.
So Andrew, let's go.
Can I finish? Because
no.
I want us to clarify this matter, because what the two of you are talking about are two crimes. One is rape. You are saying this person was forcefully made to have sex. Maybe he's an adult, so he has been raped. The Ugandan law on rape on the penal code does not distinguish whether a man rapes a man or rapes a woman, or a woman rapes a man and whatever. It says anyone who forces another into an act of sex has committed rape. So we have a law. It is sufficient to handle that problem. Hold a second, please. The second issue is defilement. If a minor is abused and molested, as you are saying, that minor, the law is their own defilement. I just want to say there is John and Derek, Jennifer and Florence. They are two consenting adults. They had an act of sex. No one is complaining. This is why I'm asking him. Who complained to him? Because if somebody was raped, we understand that. I stand with you. It doesn't matter whether he's a homosexual or heterosexual. If a kid is defined, a person who is defined legally as a minor, if somebody has sex with them, then that person should be treated with rape. What I am trying to say is, you are saying that because this law does not target those people, it also says that if Joseph and Derek, adults, consent, go in the privacy of their bedroom, do whatever they do, that is a crime.
So
that is what I'm telling you. There is no complainant. You see, where you have the issues you have raised are issues where a person has been abused and is complaining. They are already addressed by the law. This law is not just about that. In fact, that is small. The bigger issues of this law is to say that if Frank here and you, Joseph, consented and did whatever you did, and both of you are happy, and there is nobody who is complaining, the state of Uganda will complain.
So Andrew, let me ask you two fundamental.
On whose behalf?
Two fundamental things. Do you know that there was recently a legislation to deal with aggravated defilement?
Yes, it is. But this law had aggravated.
No. I'm saying there was recent legislation that dealt with aggravated defilement.
Yes.
There was already a law on defilement. Why was it not problematic to enact another law on aggravated defilement? Because as long as the laws seek to address issues, they can be 1 million, they can be 1,000. There is nothing wrong with making laws to address the fundamental concerns of society. Number two, let's go back to the penal code.
Running away from.
Let's go to the penal code.
If Joseph and Derek go into the privacy of their bedroom and gratify themselves erotically, none of them has complained, both of them are happy. You think that the government of Uganda should go and arrest them?
So let me respond to you. If Frank Mujimba and Andrew go into a room and agree that Andrew should kill Mujimba, and Andrew kills Mujimba and they're both happy,
Andrew will have taken away the life of Mujimba. I don't have right to.
But with consent. With his consent.
No, he cannot consent to be. He cannot consent to be killed. Listen.
Now you cannot consent to a criminal activity.
You know what I'm saying?
But I can commit suicide. So I can tell you to.
You can go commit suicide.
Yes.
So, and I believe in the right to suicide, by the way.
Why?
Yes, of course I believe in the right to suicide.
Now, so you see, here's the point that you and Mujimba have agreed. Andrew, come and strangle me. I want to die.
No.
That's the point. So, homosexuality is a criminal act in this country.
If Mujimba wants to die,
yes.
If Mujimba wants to die, I will defend his right to die. You get it? He can go buy a tablet, he can get a rope, he can drown himself in an ocean.
Now, if Andrew and Mujimba want to have sex and they are men, I will defend their right to go and do it in a jurisdiction where it is legal.
KFM's Hot Seat. It's hot, it's live, provocative, and digs deep into the issues. It's KFM's Hot Seat.
933 KFM.
The hottest debate on all relevant topics live on KFM's Hot Seat tonight. KFM's Hot Seat covers all the relevant topics every weekday, 7 to 8 p.m.
Please let's go back to the discussion. Welcome back to this edition of the Hot Seat featuring Joseph Sabiti and Frank Mujimba. So we ended on a philosophical point where you were saying that if I killed him with his consent, is it acceptable? Now, let's go to John Locke. You see, a lot of these things are rooted in philosophy. It could be moral philosophy or largely moral philosophy. So the question was, how do we define something to be wrong and bring about legal liability? He said, okay, there are things that we call self-regarding acts. These are acts which I do to myself. Those acts cannot be criminalized. Then there are other regarding acts. Acts I can take under the harm of a third party. Those should be a crime. So if I come and beat him, if I come and beat him, then I have harmed him. If I take his shirt, if I take his car, but the question came, what of incest, for example? Should it be allowed for a person to marry their mother or their sister? Should the government legislate that? Because they are two consenting adults. Questions of moral taste are very complicated to resolve. So this comes to the issue of the United States. In the United States, 80% of white people felt that black people are subhuman, and a white person should not marry a black person. You know that Obama was born at a time when 50 states, out of 50 states, 33 states criminalized sex between a black person and a white person. That state where his grandparents come from, the mother met Obama's father in Hawaii. If they were not in Hawaii, they were on mainland America, in that state. I can't remember whether it was Wyoming or South Dakota, those redneck states. It was criminal. Joseph, I want you to follow this. So it was inconceivable. I have watched documentaries of white people, the governor of Alabama, of Mississippi, of Georgia, saying, Governor Wallace, saying, this is against our way of life. It's against every culture we have been taught. How can a black person sleep with a white person? You need to read a book by an African-American lady. She's called Isabel Wilkerson. It's called Caste, about the apartheid in America in the 1950s and 60s. So that was how the civil rights movement was fought. Let me tell you guys, to say, you earlier said, Joseph, that this is about majority. If we said that a democracy is about majority decisions, then we will not have a constitution. Because the idea of a constitution is to have a Bill of Rights. Assuming the majority in Uganda said, today, we don't want anyone who does not believe in God to exist. He should be killed. If we had to conduct a referendum in Rwanda in 1994 that every Tutsi should be killed, what would have happened? So the idea of a constitution is to entrench a Bill of Rights that protects minority rights. In fact, the whole idea of liberty, if you read this essay on liberty by John Stuart Mill, he says, if all mankind minus one were of one opinion, and only one person was of a contrary opinion, mankind will not be justified in silencing that one person than he, if he had the power, would be justified in silencing mankind. And he says the biggest threat to liberty is not the biggest threat to liberty is majorities willing to use the weight of numbers to suppress and regiment minorities. So the whole idea of constitutionalism was to create rights that can be protected against abuse by majorities, protect minorities against majorities. So majorities, yes, you can rule, but you cannot take away my rights. So here we come to the question of homosexuals. If you say this young man here says they are sick people, on what basis is he saying it? Because at least we live in a period and time that they should need rehabilitation. All you needed to do, and let me come to the Constitutional Court of Uganda, they just needed to go and do a Google search. Frank here can do a Google search. Regardless of his moral tastes can be that him as a Mhima cannot marry Mwiru. In Uncle, these are deeply held culture. Should we have those? His will is free to make that choice, but he cannot say that Uganda should assuming they were a majority. You see? So here I come back to the issue is that why can't people do a Google search? There is enough scientific research, not conclusive, but which is able to demonstrate to you that homosexuals don't make a choice to be homosexuals. Homosexuality is a variation in human sexuality. They're a minority, they exist, they are normal people, they are variation from the norm. So we cannot use culture, religion, and tradition to either kill them, suppress them. And if you say these people are mentally disturbed, they're mentally disturbed not necessarily by being homosexual, but by the prejudice and bigotry you and Joseph have towards them.
Andrew,
because, hold a second, guys. I deal with young people who are suicidal because they cannot confront their parents. A guy is growing up in school, he recognizes he's not attracted to women, he's not attracted to men, fellow men. A girl is not attracted to boys, he's attracted to girls. But because of the things you say, because of what the culture says, these people get seriously traumatized, psychologically tortured. Some become suicidal, others actually do commit suicide. So the problem of homosexuals is not what they are, they are a problem of living in a society which is trying to impose a particular sexual orientation on them that they are not.
So I think you bring us the debate of nurture versus nature.
How do they come to that?
How does somebody become a homosexual? Is it a variant? Is it a learned habit?
The scientific evidence is not conclusive, but what we can say is what is conclusive is that this is not a choice that people make.
I am saying
so what happens
there's research.
There is an element of genetics, there is an element of hormonal development,
and there's an element of nurture.
There is
a learned habit.
There's please also understand, by the way,
Yes.
Joseph,
Yes.
that a person indulging in a homosexual act does not necessarily make them homosexual. You can be as straight as it gets. Assuming somebody gave you $1 million and you said to have sex with them, does that mean you're homosexual? You may not be attracted to fellow men, but you can have a sex with a man because of money, or because you're looking for fame, or whatever it is that you're looking for. It could be your choice. Hold a second. And the fact that you're homosexual does not necessarily mean that you have homosexual sex. You may be attracted to fellow men, but you think this violates my traditional beliefs, my religious convictions, and my principles. I will not do it. In which case, you suppress your personal feeling. So we need to separate being from acting on the being.
Now,
the part of being is not a decision. Those who are homosexuals, are not a decision that they make. And you can invite, you a smart journalist, invite every homosexual in Kampala, they're campaigning, ask them. You can take a story from them. How did you know that you're homosexual? Many of them will tell you, I was at school in primary or in secondary. I looked at girls I wasn't attracted.
So Andrew, I just wanted to
Yes.
ask you one question. So what is the probability that two homosexuals, natural homosexuals, exist in the same area at the same time? For example, if one was in Kasese, one is in Mbarara. You understand? And the rest of the people are not homosexuals. So how do these two people connect when they live in different areas? That's why I'm saying, if there is one person who is naturally homosexual, this person is going to try and recruit someone else to get him into this this vice, and that is what we are trying to avoid. You understand what I'm saying?
So Frank, let me ask you, why do you think that homosexuals don't live in the same community? In this place, listen, first of all,
I said, what is the probability that
it's very high, because homosexuals may constitute anything between 3 to 10, 15% of the population.
You see,
in any case, there is Facebook.
You see,
there is Instagram.
you see,
there
Andrew,
is Snapchat. People, there is WhatsApp. People can.
Andrew, you referred to research. You referred to very important research. The question of whether homosexuality is a variant, a scientific variant. These are some of the issues that we are subjected to debate. I know that you took interest in that debate. Doctors, medical doctors, made submissions to the contrary before this law was passed in the House. Medical doctors made submissions to the effect that most of the homosexual habits are actually as a result of nature. They are learned practices. And the fundamental point about that legislation, Andrew, was the question...
Let me ask even...
Yes.
Remember, I have told you that sexuality is a product of different influences, that there is no scientific conclusion on it.
Yes.
Can I tell you, Joseph, if anybody comes and says he has a conclusion on it, let them produce a research, because research can be subjected to peer review, and hold a second, and it's published.
Yes.
Because you see, I don't want us to be a typical Ugandan can't do research. There's so much research on it. Just go and put the word homosexuality in Google. You will find academic research from South Africa, from Asia, from all over the world. And one of the things they could show is that there is no conclusive evidence that sexuality is shaped by many things. Let me give you an example. One, I have told you genetically. Two, it could be hormones as a child is being whatever in the mother, the kind of hormones that. The third element is the experience of upbringing. Before a child even is aware of anything, the kind of experiences they have when they are 2 days, 1 month, 5 months, you get. So even
and
you,
then there's nature. Then there's Andrew picking a child, not giving the child a right to decide what they want to be, raising this child with a gay partner, and because of that, nurturing this child who did not have an opportunity to make a decision on who they want to be into a homosexual.
Either to choose a girl.
So it's a very complex conversation that we must have very soberly.
By the way, you will
should we protect that child, or we allow Andrew to recruit that child without a consent?
That child is protected by Ugandan law under defilement.
Under Andrew's roof?
I'm saying that child, there is a law of defilement. In order to protect that child, you don't need to stop Derek and Joseph from having sex. You can protect that child, yes, because that is defilement and rape. And this is what I wanted to dissuade you from, guys. You are mixing two things. You are mixing defilement, abuse of a child molestation, and rape. You are no. And what do they call it? You are mixing child abuse,
Andrew,
and rape.
Frank Mujimba is 1 year old. Andrew and Derek are a homosexual couple. That is their belief, that is the right thing to do. This child with no opportunity to decide what they want to do with their lives is living under your roof, watching you do what you do, learning those habits from you. You have not given this child an opportunity. If my country passes a law to against the promotion of homosexuality. Why do you fault my country for that?
So let me first give you, again, Joseph, you don't need to argue with me. Do a Google search. There are mountains of studies of children who grew up with homosexual couples and those who grew up with straight couples. There is no scientific evidence that living in a home where your parents are homosexuals and have adopted you or had you through in vitro fertilization and surrogative motherhood, there is no evidence that the upbringing in a home of homosexuals in any way affects a child's sexual orientation. Please, just do a Google search.
Okay,
You see, this is what I'm saying.
Andrew.
What surprises me, Joseph,
Andrew.
is these are things the courts of Uganda do not even need to spend a lot of time or even money. It is data on your phone right now. Google it as we're still on air. Take an ad
You
break.
see-
Let's take an ad break. In the ad break, just use your phone. Don't use mine. Google. Does upbringing in a home of homosexuals influence a child's
it is wrong to
sexuality? We'll
assume
take an
that
ad
the
break.
5
KFM's Hot Seat. It's hot, it's live, provocative, and digs deep into the issues. It's KFM's Hot Seat. The Hook.
Hello, Kampala. Hello, Uganda. Join me every Monday to Friday.
The Hook.
It's showbiz, it's music, it's cash, it's lunch, it's great conversation only on 933 KFM.
The Hook with Aggie Uwasi. Every weekday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on 933 KFM.
933, 933 KFM.
KFM's Hot Seat. Hot Seat. Hear the real story behind the story. Coming right at you. Only on 933 KFM.
Welcome back to this edition of the Hot Seat, featuring a panel of two experienced journalists. The most conservative. I'm so frustrated. Andrew, okay, I am announcing I'm going to commit suicide because I can't tolerate
No,
this country.
you see, Andrew, you shouldn't commit suicide.
Because, Frank, let me
the
show you
challenge
what
I
we're
have
saying
with you,
off air.
the challenge I have with you, Andrew. First of all, I'm starting to believe that your too much reading or doing research or whatever it is, it has taken. I think you maybe Andrew Blinken or something. You're no longer Andrew Mwenda from Kanyanda. Number two, I don't know.
So let me tell you a very interesting story.
I'm
There is
really wondering.
First
Second,
right.
with
You've
that-
just
with that too
reminded
much
me.
reading.
Andrew needs to hear this. There's a journalist called Arnold Musamali. He owns the website and he said he wants to look for Andrew wherever he is. And he wants to have sex with Andrew to demonstrate the sweetness of same gender sex. So the guy was saying he wanted to go to court and find Andrew there and do, but the point is this, that the question of homosexuality is a very emotional debate,
Definitely.
and the extreme views are on both sides. You see the passion with which Andrew speaks. If you picked Andrew away and put Martin Semper there, it will be the same passion with which they speak.
Yes.
I
Andrew,
think it's
you
a
see,
question of
it's
moral
not a question of.
This guy was making a point and you suppressed him.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He
What-
made one point that I am Andrew Blinken.
You're Andrew Blinken, you're no longer Andrew.
He has
When the
deleted
man
Mwenda from your
Kanyanda.
name.
So you do
That's
not
why.
call yourself that name. Without too much reading, it is becoming hard for you that you cannot separate a boy from a girl. So that I really wonder why you can't separate a boy from a girl. But Andrew, don't take us away from the point. For us, what we are trying to fight, maybe what you are saying is different, that two homosexuals can exist in the same society and they can do whatever they are doing together. But for me, what I'm trying to fight is the recruitment of people who are not gays and making them. And let me tell you,
So,
let me tell you
Frank,
about
you
this.
have made assertion. So which are these people who were recruited that you know?
Let me tell
how
you.
many people have been recruited?
Let me tell you. Let me
That
tell
you
you
know.
about this this syndicate, how it works. You know, in this country we have NGOs that have been registered, and this is why I am frustrated with the people. Yes, I'm proud of my country, but I'm really frustrated with the people in this country who have been compromised, who have fallen for small things at the expense of our children and our cultures. Now, these non-government organizations are here in our country and they are protecting, okay, you can say they are protecting rights of these people, but at the same time, they have agents. They have signed memorandas with schools and churches to recruit these people. They have agents there. They send them to go and collect these children. They take them and orient them wherever the shelters are, they orient them into this. They try to make them.
What is your evidence?
They try. Just a minute. They try.
No, but no.
They make them.
What you are doing, first of all, I don't want to interrupt you. Let me teach you the ABC of journalism.
Okay.
It's my responsibility to our listeners that when you make an assertion, at least substantiate it. You are saying there are these NGOs, they are recruiting people, they have. Where is your evidence? And two, if that evidence exists, you are saying that the Uganda police, the Ugandan intelligence organization ISO, the CID, all institutions of state of Uganda, including NGOs like yours, which may be fighting this abuse. Parents, where are these parents whose children have been recruited? I just challenge you parents, communities, bring these people who have been recruited. Because can I tell you, you don't deal with homosexuals. I deal with them on a daily basis. I can line up the next 1,000 20-something, 30-something old Ugandans who are homosexuals, and you can even call for them for a conference. Ask any one of them if they say they were recruited. You are fighting a cause, you're saying people are recruited. You get those who are recruited. If they are given money to have sex, every day girls are having sex. On Kampala Street, right now when you drive out, there are people that are giving their bodies for money.
Yes. So
if somebody gave you money and you had sex with them, why should the government of Uganda be concerned? There are women on the street selling themselves, and the men can go and sell themselves if they want money. That should not be a crime. If that is recruitment, then are those girls being recruited into sex who are selling themselves on the street? If men are selling themselves on the street, it's their right. Let them sell their body. Two, if you're saying a child is abused, that's child abuse, it's defilement. If they are forced into sex, it's rape. I want you to remove defilement and rape. Let us discuss two adults consenting. One has consented because of money. One has consented because of pleasure.
Andrew,
at
the point where money is involved, is there still consent? That sounds like procurement to me.
Oh, yeah. Why shouldn't you procure? If
you see, now that is the problem.
I'm asking
now,
you.
We need to protect that vulnerable man from being procured by a fellow man.
Why are you not protecting the vulnerable man on the street? They're selling themselves.
No, it's illegal.
I disagree with that law, by the way.
Yes, you might disagree with the law, but our legal stand is that it is wrong.
Okay, let me. This is what I'm saying. I think it's an unconstitutional law.
Yes.
I should have a right to my own body. There is no way government of Uganda can say, if there's a pretty woman there, she's willing to give me money and I have sex with her. Why should the government of Uganda refuse me to have sex? If she brings me a BMW and I want to have sex with her, let me assume even she's ugly.
Next, you're going to ask, what if someone wants to shoot me for fun and pay me? Why should I have? You see, the relativism of crime.
You have a right to commit suicide, but you have a right to sell your kidney. If you can sell your eye, yes, of course.
Yes, you have. But
you have a right to sell your kidney if you want to. You know that we have two kidneys, but they are useless. One kidney does the work of both.
You see,
but at one time you can have kidney.
You see, Andrew, you have consistently spoken about.
One fails, the other
you've confused us with the question of defilement, child abuse, and homosexuality.
Yes.
You see, and
now you are confusing the two.
No,
Andrew,
here's the point. In that law, Andrew, that stood the test of the Constitutional Court.
A wrong Constitutional Court judgment. Mm-hmm.
But it's the one we have.
We will challenge it in the Constitutional Court.
Which is okay. It's the one we have. Mm. The status quo is that court looked into those issues. Now,
it didn't. This is what I was telling you. Instead of reading the law, they relied on their prejudice, like Frank here.
How, for example, do you think they were able to say that denying these homosexuals their right to health was unconstitutional?
It was so outrageous that had they ruled otherwise.
No. That's a sign that they actually considered. That's a sign that they considered this issue.
But can
they
I tell
applied their fine legal test to it? Yes.
Frank, Joseph, can I tell you another thing? The judge, they said, today I've defended gay rights. Do you know that I'm committing a crime under their judgment? Because the law says that if you promote homosexuality, you have committed a crime. Promotion.
Yes.
When I defend the rights of homosexuals here, am I promoting homosexuality? The law is vague on that matter, and that's what took us there. Me, I saw an affidavit as a journalist. Can I tell you, trust me, police, I see the director of CID has been calling me Tom Magambo. I want to be arrested. I will every day go on TV, defend the rights of homosexuals. I am willing to go to Luzira and live there for the next 500 years.
Because when Andrew is arrested, when Andrew is arrested, Command 1 is his friend. The Chief of Defense Forces is his friend. His brother is the Commander of Land Forces. Nobody is going to arrest him. So anyone listening to Andrew, don't take that advice. You will go to jail alone.
Joseph,
Andrew will not be arrested.
That in the debate on homosexuality, it is only Frank Mujimba, who says this is a vice we must destroy, who should speak. No one of the other voice should be heard.
You see, Andrew.
Do you think that our constitution allows that on an issue like this, an issue of moral tastes, that only one side is legalized, the other side is criminalized? What is that? I looked at the judges, I couldn't understand that. I saw an affidavit, they said I'm a journalist. I believe in gay rights. I want to go, homosexual rights. I want to go on TV and defend them. But the law is saying, it's vague. It says anyone who promotes homosexuality. So when I'm defending homosexuality, I'm saying it's a normal human life, sexual lifestyle.
Promotion of homosexuality is defined in that law.
What does it say? Anyone who publishes or broadcasts information that normalizes homosexuality.
That promotes.
Yes. So if I say homosexuality is a normal sexual lifestyle among human beings and other animals, am I promoting it?
Yes, you are. And you're breaking the law.
So in other words, the Constitution is denying me the right to freedom of expression, and it's saying that on this matter, the only one view
you see,
can be
Frank
protected.
Mujimba can wake up and say, I admire terrorism. I want to go on radio to defend terrorism. I believe shooting people the way you want is okay. When you go into those debates of what is not okay and what's not
Actually,
okay,
let me put it this way. Yes. I support violent rebellion against oppression.
Frank will be arrested,
you can call it terrorism.
and you should be arrested for your stand on homosexuality. Frank should be arrested because of his own terrorism. Yes,
I think that the right to freedom of expression
should be extreme.
No, it defends my right to defend armed resistance against oppression
within the legal parameters, within the context of the law of a country. Yes.
Have you read Museveni's thesis at Dar es Salaam University?
Yes.
What does it?
That's why he went to the bush. He didn't come talking on radio.
I know. I'm saying, what is the title? He did not write it in the bush. He wrote it at the university. What is the title?
Because of
it is the justification of Frantz Fanon's concept of violence in Mozambique. In other words, Museveni was saying the right to armed resistance, violent resistance against an oppressor, is an inherent right. Even our constitution, by the way, of Uganda, Constitution of Uganda says you have a right to violently resist.
I have not read the word violently. In our constitution, yes.
No.
Which article is that?
One of the articles of the constitution says.
No, Andrew. No.
Can take up arms.
Ugandans have a duty to defend the constitution, but the violent part, no.
Even by armed means.
No.
Even by
you see,
means.
Museveni is your hero today. Is a hero today because he successfully fought that war. If they had defeated him, you know what would have happened.
So you are saying that the government of Uganda should criminalize me defending armed resistance or violent resistance against oppression?
Yes.
You see, Andrew.
Then we disagree.
Andrew, at least this
on that one, I would go to jail also.
Andrew,
Andrew is not going to jail for any reason. Don't be misled. Do not be misled. No one will arrest Andrew.
I want to go to jail. Actually, this law, I am going to violate it.
The thing is, no one will arrest you. You see, the director CID is calling you on phone. Let Mujimba try to go and do this thing. He doesn't even know the OC of his LC1.
So guys, actually, I've run out of time. I'm sorry. We'll be right back next week on Friday. Good evening.
The hottest debate on all relevant topics live on KFM's Hot Seat tonight. KFM's Hot Seat covers all the relevant topics every weekday 7 to 8 p.m.